You're listening to the She Renovates podcast. You're listening to She Renovates, the podcast for women who want to renovate to create an income and a life they love.
Well, hello renovators. It's Bernadette back with another episode of She Renovates. And today I have a very special couple of women come in to share their renovating and short-term rental experience. Now, Mary Nieuwland is one of our Wonder Women, and she is a very beautiful renovator. She's got a very nice style. We didn't actually talk about her own home, which is in the Macedon Ranges in Victoria, but she's completely renovated it and just got some really nice features. It's quite Hamptons, but with vaulted ceilings, and yeah, it's really special. And so Mary joined us quite a few years ago, and she had a desire to, I guess, employ her daughter or build a business with her daughter Lilah. And I think that they have really achieved a really beautiful business relationship. I love the whole mother-daughter scenario because you can hear in their voices their passion for what they do, and also the love. And so in it, you will hear about the fact that COVID is not Mary's first pandemic. So she had a long history of corporate short-term rental in the 90s, and she came to us after having given it away for quite a while, sort of a little bit, I guess, disillusioned with it. But she's come back quite, much stronger, and I think with a different plan, and she will share with you her journey from that point. So this is really the story of a family that renovates together. And so what I'd like you to get from it is the richness that it brings to a family and how it's given them purpose and empowerment. And it's just a really good news story. So enjoy.
Hello everyone, it's Bernadette back with another episode of She Renovates, and today I have a very lovely mother-daughter team. So I have Mary and Lilah Nieuwland as guests today, and they have been, you're not just a mother-daughter, there is more to the team, but as we say, a family that renovates together stays together. Isn't that how it goes?
Something like that.
So, and you've been on quite the journey, and yeah, so I thought that we would, have a bit of a chat about that. And so where would you like to start? So when did this property thing start? Because you started a long time back, didn't you, Mary?
Yes, I started in 96 when my husband at the time was earning very good money in his job. And when you work for yourself, it's either boom or bust. And these were some quite good boom years for us. So we thought we would try to invest wisely. And at the time, we purchased a couple of townhouses close to the city, one in Port Melbourne and one in South Melbourne. They were new properties because at that particular time we didn't have time to devote to renovating. So we bought almost off the plan, not quite, but almost off the plan, and we've held on to them all this time.
Yeah, I think you've certainly done very well with those two properties. And when we first met, that was when, so you had run a short-term rental business before?
Yes, that's right. When we purchased these properties, I happened to be at a social function, a party actually, that given by my father for some of his colleagues. My dad worked as a aircraft engineer for Ansett at the time, and they had some engineers over from the UK, and they were not complaining, but saying that, you know, they were in a great apartment, but they really would have liked to have had a house. And if I knew of any houses, fully furnished houses that were for sale, for rent on the short-term market, well, my entrepreneurial skill jumped in there, and I said yes. I said, of course. And because the first, I had a house in Essendon as well, which we quickly furnished, and we rented out to the engineers from Ansett. That's how we really got started with the short term, and that actually grew, because then we got a contract with Ericsson's and with the NAB, and in my heyday we had about 15 houses that we rented out on the short term market, and then we had SARS happened, that then went out of business. Docklands occurred, where the NAB said, well, we'll have our people staying in apartments next door to our offices. So then we had to scale back very, very quickly to continue to operate.
I didn't realise, so you were a victim really of the SARS pandemic.
Oh, definitely. Because especially with Ericsson's, I had 7 houses just devoted to Ericsson's. And everyone just stopped moving people around the world, and that was it. Now, luckily, most of these houses I had on a lease basis with the owner's full knowledge that I was subleasing, and we just offloaded those then as soon as we were able to.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, wow. There was no job keepers in those days. Or
No. Yeah. That's an absolute blessing, isn't it? JobKeeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when we first met, was it that you were planning to renovate first, or you were planning Airbnb first? What was the...
I think it was a bit of both, really. We're always interested in renovating for ages, just always loved going looking at older houses and wanting to do stuff, but didn't really know where to start. And also, I thought that we could restart the short-term rental with Airbnb, seeing it was such an easy platform to get into it. But again, didn't really know where to start. So we wanted some guidance, I guess, on getting started with it all.
Yeah. And I think when we came to that first talk, we didn't really know how it was going to pan out. And I suppose it was quite inspirational, the talk, and we were both sitting there saying, yes, this is what we want to do.
And you've done it, which is lovely. Yeah. That's awesome. And so then I guess, so the next step was taking you had 2 properties existing? Because did you have them on long-term rent at the time?
Yes, we did, and they were just on a monthly basis at that stage. So I did something which I never have done before, and I did terminate leases. One I left go until the people actually moved back overseas, and the other one, I gave Lilah free rein basically to furnish and update.
Wow. And so the idea was that Lilah would run the short-term rental business.
That's right. Because the Airbnb platform, I suppose the way I was used to doing business was a very personal one-on-one, having your contacts within the big companies. Mm. And once you lost that, that was quite hard then to carry on. And I must admit, I was a little bit over it all, dealing with people, and I had no idea how the Airbnb platform worked. And I suppose I was being a bit of a, what do they call it, a bit of a dinosaur. And I thought, well, here's young blood, she can cope with all of that. They're used to dealing. I don't know. People are a little bit less
personable.
Yes, that's right, personable nowadays, and I find that a little bit hard. She copes with that quite okay.
You can give it back to them, can you, Lilah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been looking at how you have weathered the COVID thing, and I think you've done better than most. and I suspect it's because you have done something that sort of is a very important business practice, and that's actually having your own platform. So in terms of being dependent, one of my mentors he has this thing saying about own the race course. Don't build your business purely on someone else's platform. And so by having that, your own website and your own database or whatever, that you're able to, communicate directly with your guests. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, because we are executive home rentals, people often Google executive homes. So we come up pretty high on the list. So we do get a lot of inquiries, not only for people wanting to stay sort of longer term. So we've got one of our houses are there for a year to 18 months, which is really good. So get a lot of inquiries about managing other people's houses through the website. So yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed about how you operate is that your attention to detail really holds you in good stead. And I would imagine some of those principles came through Mary's previous role, dealing with those, and business and So what's it like working with your mum?
Pretty good. She lets me basically do almost what I want with the business, which is good. And she helps out a lot. But mainly dealing with all the clients and trying to find new clients and things like that. She basically just leaves to me. I go into the houses every time someone moves out to check everything, and after the cleaner's been, and I do all the beds, and usually Mum comes and helps me with that, just because we like making sure everything's perfect, because often if you've got not nice sheets, it's not nice, so we make sure that that's all clean and good. So it's pretty good. We see each other a lot.
And in terms of running the business, have you found anything challenging?
No, I suppose I have had to consciously step back from a number of things where I might, in my mind, I haven't necessarily agreed with something, but I step back and I think, no, younger blood is probably the way to go, and I haven't regretted that at all. So, because sometimes you do get stuck in your own ways. So I think it's worked quite well, but I have had to bite my tongue a number of times, especially in the beginning, where I thought, I don't know. I thought, no, I'll just let her run with it. And like I said, the vast majority of times I've been more than happy with the outcome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think sometimes, I don't know that it's necessarily younger knows better. I think it's more a case, well, part of that is you're more in tune to different platforms and whatever. But I think you're just a really good blend of both. The fact that Mary's got that long-standing experience, and sometimes you sort of have to make your own mistakes too.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way you develop, and often the whole business learns as a result of something that didn't go maybe quite to plan. And have you had any disasters?
What in terms of clients?
Yes. Basically.
I had one Airbnb guest who basically had a massive party
over a number of days.
4-day party, and I don't know why the neighbours didn't call us, but they didn't. But luckily it was no damage as in structural damage. It was just, carpets had to be cleaned and furniture had to be cleaned and things like that. But that was really the only bad experience.
I think we came out quite lucky with that. And it's amazing what carpet cleaners and dry cleaners can do.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. And Airbnb were quite
Airbnb were very
in that respect as well. They did pay for the replacement of quite a few items.
And the cleaning.
And the extra cleaning. Yeah. So I must admit, we've always had quite a positive response from Airbnb.
Yeah, I've never really had a problem with them. Even small things, if something's been damaged or whatever, they're always really good to respond and easy to deal with. So that's good.
I think that's often a reflection of how they see you as a host. So I've found the same, and yet I do know other people that have a lot of trouble. So let's move on. So that's the business, and are you intending to grow that?
Yes, I think so. Maybe a little bit. My partner and I have just finished renovating our one-bedroom apartment in South Melbourne, which we're going to put on Airbnb and through the business. We get a lot of inquiries about managing other people's properties, which I have taken on too, but I'm a bit reluctant to do that.
And why?
One, it's often they're already furnished properties, so it's hard to say to them that maybe the furniture isn't suitable or the right look or things like that. And often they're also people's personal houses that they're moving away for a year and then coming back, and it's got furniture or things in it that are personally valuable to them, and that's always the things that get broken. So I just get a bit wary of that. So I've taken on people's apartments that are investment properties, and that they've allowed me to help style with them and things like that, and that's worked out really well. But yeah, we get 5 or 6 inquiries a month, so we knock most of them back.
Okay.
Well, on the one hand, but I suppose the other thing is that now we if people approach us and they've got something really different, it's much easier to take that on, because people, when they stay at an Airbnb, want something different. They don't want to stay in their normal home like they do at home. So they want to stay, not like the one place that we manage is opposite the beach, and you've found the inquiries, especially during the COVID-19, just shot up tremendously, because when people wanted to work from home, they wanted something they thought, well, this has got a nice view. We even had one fellow who was having a relationship problem because of working from home. It wasn't actually working out for him to work or to be with his partner 24/7, and so he rented the house for 2 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
And he wanted it, and the reason he chose it was because it had a lovely view, and he said it would help him contemplate whether or not his relationship would continue.
Oh my gosh.
So I think things like that, do make a big difference when people are looking for something as a view or close to a local attraction. So yes, I suppose when people come up with it, we've got one is actually a friend of ours. He's got a place in Carlton, but he actually wants Lilah to help revamp it completely. So we're just waiting for this to blow, or the COVID to blow over a little bit more, and we'll get started on that.
Yeah.
So we are lucky that we can be in a position to pick and choose, but also that still gives us the time to pay attention to detail for each and every property.
And that's critical, isn't it? Because the minute you take your eye off the ball, that's when things slide. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that really comes back to an income, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And this way we also, we are not cheap when people stay with us. I mean, we're not exorbitant, but I suppose when people are paying that bit more, they expect maybe that extra attention to detail.
To be honest with you, sorry about that, coughing. I've actually found people that pay really cheap prices expect the most.
Oh, really?
Yes, the expectations go up, the price comes down. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's get on to the renovating. So since we've known you, you and Lilah have done a project together?
Yes. Did an apartment in Elwood, in an Art Deco apartment.
And how did that pan out?
It was good. It was ended up being a lot bigger than we expected, because the area was built on swampland, which wasn't a huge problem, but once we started taking the plaster down and things like that, there was so much cracking in the structure that we had to spend more money on the steel beams and things like that than we anticipated, and the whole house was just crooked, so it just took a little bit longer because everything had to be sort of made to measure, because nothing would just fit squarely in. But it was good. It was good. We learned a lot.
We definitely learned a lot. And I mean, we certainly didn't sell it at a loss. We still made quite good money. And the other thing was because of, and again, we were selling it during that time, just after the Banking Royal Commission. So everything just fell in a hole. So what we had anticipated and what the agents had also told us, but also through our own research, we were expecting a higher price or a higher return. But when it came to it...
Well, we did go to auction to start with, and it was passed in, so then we put it on Airbnb and sat it out for 6 months. And then we went...
And that worked really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
so if we did have that, we
were doing really well on Airbnb with that, weren't you?
Yeah, very well.
It was...
Yeah, and then you did go to market again, because I think we followed in your footsteps with ours up here. And yeah. And so do you mind me asking, what profit did you end up making?
It was around 60,000.
60,000, and then the Airbnb.
And we made another 20,000 out of Airbnb.
So it was 80,000
on a $600,000 property? That's That's very good. Given all the ups and downs you've had, you should be very proud of yourself.
Yes. And that's what I mean. It was a huge learning curve. And so I sort of feel now, doesn't matter what they throw at us. We can go.
It was a difficult one as the first one.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. And so now you're just into another project?
So we're my partner and I, we bought an apartment in South Melbourne that was just a one-bedder that we've just finished. We're putting it on Airbnb, and Mum and my brother are going in together on a villa in Essendon. So that's settled in May.
Yes.
And so we'll
start on that. Very well. We have started with the planning. The problem is my son's overseas at the moment.
Stuck overseas.
So as soon as he comes back, he'll hit the ground running. But yes, but after we listened to that talk that you gave in Melbourne that time, the first thing that we did though was we redid a kitchen in our South Melbourne property, and we wouldn't have had the confidence to do it if we hadn't listened to you speak. And we went out and we changed the whole kitchen. And the change was amazing, and that has been a real big feature for us with our Airbnb, because that's our feature photo is our kitchen now. It's not a big kitchen, it's only little.
I didn't know that's really good.
Yeah.
Even more proud.
Yeah, so then when that worked, we knew that the formula was going to work for us. So it was good.
And Lilah, I'd like you to share a bit of the details of the one that you've just done for yourself, because I think you've done an extraordinary job.
Thank you.
And it really demonstrates how you can use renovating to go, to sort of leapfrog from one project to the next.
Yeah, so we bought that a year ago, and we completely gutted it. So we bought it for $420. We gutted it. There's a little courtyard, so we redid the courtyard, new flooring, kitchen, bathroom, everything. So we spent about $30,000 on it.
Wow.
And we just got it revalued at $690.
240, is it?
Yeah. So that worked out really well for us. So now we're using the equity from our apartment to look at another project, buying a house to do another flip, or to do a flip for this one. And then we're going to see after this flip, and then we'll hopefully have enough to buy our family home. But yeah, it's worked out really well for us, just buying something, not overly expensive and not doing a very expensive reno, just a good reno, and using that equity to go on to the next one, and then just using the income from this Airbnb to help pay for everything.
Yeah, and just give me a sense of what do you feel empowered with the skills that you have? What is it that it does for you?
I feel it's really it's great being able to do sort of your own thing on your own terms, and just sort of learning as you go along. So we do quite a lot ourselves, what we can, and it's quite fun, whether it be working with mum or dad or with my partner as we renovate. A great experience, the whole thing, just starting with it, planning it.
Sense of achievement.
Yeah, sense of achievement, definitely, because you've always got this picture in your head and you hope it turns out. Yeah, the whole process is enjoyable, and it definitely gives you, makes yourself really proud of yourself to be able to do something like that when you step back and at the end of it look at what you've done. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think, like certainly our experience in our family, it has been, I don't know, I think it sort of generates this entrepreneurialism.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of, younger people don't ever get because they're not immersed into it. And I think renovating is a really nice way of being creative and entrepreneurial and profitable.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the other good thing, which is what we learned from the Elwood project, is that you can do a renovation with minimal cost. It doesn't mean that it has to be inferior quality, but if you shop around and you look around and you do your research, Lilah said they've spent $30,000 on this particular renovation, and I wish that I'd known or where she actually sourced her product from for our Elwood renovation, because we would have made more profit that way.
Yeah.
But it's certainly, and that's what I try to say to younger people, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but you do have to put the time and the effort into it.
You do. And it's sort of, I think it's establishing the process. So, the one that works for you. So, because in every area it's different, and you can get away with some things in some areas and you can't.
Yeah.
So really getting your personal sort of cookie cutter approach, in some ways it's a great thing. And then all you've got to do is rinse and repeat, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So with the project that I'm doing for my son, we're at the chunking down the budget at the moment, and that's.
Well, I'm coming in saying no, you're not allowed to spend money on this and this.
I did notice Mary saying that she thought she might sneak in a new kitchen.
Yeah, no, just replace.
Sorry for dobbing, Mary.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to win that somehow.
No. But that's brilliant, because you've learnt a lesson that most renovators take probably 10 years to learn. Yeah, that's a power that you now have and can take that on into your future projects.
Yeah.
Okay, where next? What's next? So you've got the project with
Nick, yes.
And then hopefully Lilah will have her next project, and then
yes, and then we were for a time looking for something to do in our superannuation fund. There are some fantastic opportunities out there for just one bedroom or studio apartments in East Melbourne.
Yeah, for an Airbnb.
For Airbnb, your return would be amazing. But then the COVID hit, and then Nick got his project, and then Lilah's got her project, and I thought, well, I'm just going to push everything aside for the moment and wait for the Airbnb to pick up again. But yeah, we've that's.
But you might do a flip in your super funds as well.
Yes, they're the things that we're checking out with the accountant as to what way to go.
Is to hear that
everything's been thrown up in the air a little bit with this COVID-19, but I think we've sailed through pretty okay. We did spend the time refurbishing, I suppose, and just smartening.
Doing a deep clean over everything. And
yes.
Redoing the bathroom.
And redoing one of the bedrooms and putting good, nice light fittings in and a fan in another room, because the air conditioning doesn't really reach that part of that bedroom that well. So thanks to Lilah, last year and the end of last year and the beginning of this year, we had excellent returns on our Airbnb. So we had a buffer already in place. So we were lucky.
And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be too long before it's back into full swing.
No.
Yeah,
Well, at least the states are opening up next month, all
Yeah.
the state board. And
That'll make a
hopefully
big difference for us.
we'll have some, Japan, I think, and New Zealand and a few countries are going to be
Yes,
able
yeah.
to come to Australia. So
Yeah, the majority of our business, I think, are from overseas clients.
but it might cause more local travel or domestic travel.
Or it
Yeah.
will.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I think the things like the sport and entertainment has to get going to
yeah.
give people a reason to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like certainly around Sydney at the moment, there's not a lot to do,
No.
compared to what there has been. But yeah, okay. Now, if someone wants to come and stay in a luxury executive home, where should we send them?
As in,
Guest. Executive home rentals. Do
Oh,
they
yes,
go
yeah.
straight to your website?
yeah, we've got a website which is executivehomerentals.com.au. You can put an inquiry through that. You can book through there. And then we're also on Airbnb and Home Away.
And then we also have an Instagram page, Executive Home Rentals,
And Facebook.
and a Facebook page.
Great. Well, so what we'll do is did we ask you some photos of your projects?
Yes, I
Okay.
did send it.
So
through.
we'll put that up, and we will also put the links up to all your social media and your website. And I can definitely vouch for the quality of your accommodation, because I have actually stayed at the Port Melbourne House and it's very lovely.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing your experience. I think you're both amazing, and I think congratulations to Mary for really trusting the process and going for it, and her little grasshopper.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bernadette.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that and are thinking about how you can enrich your own family life with renovating. And if you haven't already got a ticket to She Renovates Live, we still have some left, and Mary will actually be at the conference. So Mary and Lilah, I should say. It's going to be an absolute hoot. Thank you for those who have left a review. We've had a couple of new ones through recently. I won't read them out today, but I will in the next episode, because I'm so grateful to you for making the time to write one. I read every one of them and I just feel so incredibly honoured that you are getting so much value out of the podcast and are willing to share that publicly. It really does make a big difference to us. So thank you. That's it for today, and I'll see you next week in the next episode.
This is the She Renovates podcast. To discover how to harness the power of renovating, check out theschoolofrenovating.com.